All right, guys, so for the guys Monday who are watching this, we're got the camera flipped around so I can watch it. So if I see it freeze up, I can stop. So if I'm a little clumsy through my lecture, be patient with me because I'm watching to see if we freeze up or not.
We're trying to get this figured out.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't care if we don't learn anything about chapter 6. We're gonna learn about technology today. I get so frustrated. So we may even take a few more breaks than normal, so the video file size isn't as big. But so we're live now. We're going. I'm watching, and it should be good. So chapter 6 is on entrepreneurship, which is a real passion of mine. I may have mentioned on that first day that I kind of been an entrepreneur my whole life. I was the guy that had I was selling t-shirts in the dorm, had a newspaper route, I was kind of that guy. And I think what really sculpted me as well was my dad was a General Motors lifer, and he did great, and we had a great standard of living. He saved his money, all that kind of stuff, and and all worked out fine. Had a nice career, but I just kind of watched that from afar, and I was kind of like, I don't think that's what I want to do. I think I want to be more small business, more entrepreneurial, whatever. So I kind of knew that. I don't know about my sophomore or junior year in college. So then I graduated from college with a business journalism double major. I originally went into college as a journalism major and came out as a business journalism double major. But really, I majored in football and having fun. And I just didn't feel like I had the real content that I needed business-wise. So I actually rolled right into the MBA program immediately, which they a lot of times they don't want you to do, but I had an in with the university because I was going to coach there. And so I was in the MBA program when I felt like started to get my mind around business and what it took and all that. And meanwhile, I had kind of got a telemarketing job as just kind of be a pay the bills sort of job. Didn't think I was going to be there forever. And it was a small growing business. And so I got to see a lot of, just young leaders trying to make a business work and et cetera, and got me real excited. And the two owners of that business were entrepreneurial as well. One was a venture capitalist, so he was more of a silent money guy into this training center. And then there was the actual kind of leader of the training center who came from Cummins and had a trucking background and et cetera, and just saw this as an opportunity. I'm gonna shut this door. So it was a good opportunity for me because I was still finishing graduate school, but I was learning a lot in a small business environment and did nothing but get me excited. So I moved around inside that truck driver training center a little bit, took lateral moves to learn more of the business. But I was kind of staying close very intentionally because the venture capitalist, it's not very many times you bump into somebody that's got some dough that's willing to invest in small businesses. And I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I didn't have the money and my dad was like very risk averse, so I knew I wouldn't be able to get the money from him. So I was very intentional about staying connected to Sam, who was kind of a mentor to me, and that all worked out. So he gave me my first shot to start. At the time, our truck driver training center was only recruited and trained entry-level drivers, so brand new people to the trucking industry. Sam wanted to get into the experienced driver placement service. So instead of just recruiting rookies, we were recruiting veterans, think of it like a headhunter service. So I was all excited to do that. I knew how to recruit, and so we launched, it was called Guidepost, plucked a couple people, hired some buddies, and started this small business, my first one I ever started. And it lasted like just over a year. And as I look back, it was like a giant internship in entrepreneurial business, because we started out losing money. So Sam's pouring money into this business. We kind of start to stabilize a little bit, and then finally, about 12 months in, we're at least paying our own bills. Not really making a lot of money, but we're paying our own bills, which is fairly decent for a first-year business. So I thought, sweet, here we go. We're busy in there. We're getting our own culture being built. It was all I thought was really good. And Sam calls me in his office, and I'm thinking, you know, he's gonna kind of just give me an update on what he's thinking, whatever. He's like, I wanna close it down. I'm like, what? We just got here. Like, we're paying our own bills. Like, I know you're not making any money yet, but we'll make some money. He's like, I'm looking for an easier way to make money, not a harder way to make money. And I see how hard you guys are working in there to try to make a buck. He's like, I don't wanna be in it. Okay. So I had to go out, lay my buddies off, you know, close down operations, try to transfer people within the organization. So, like I said, it was the whole package. It was the excitement of building something new. It was the, all right, we're accomplishing something. And then it was the, uh-oh, we're losing, right? And that's what entrepreneurial business is all about. And you have to be able to ride that roller coaster or it's not for you. You know, my trucking business, I left that, went and started another business. Actually, I started another business for Sam and then left, started another business, and Sam brought me back to start the trucking company that I had for about 12 years. But really that business was kind of the same cycle, right? We're doing good. I finally bought Sam out of the business, thought we were kind of doing pretty good. The economy turned and business went down and then I was out, right? So that's kind of what entrepreneurship is all about. You know, can I handle that risk? You know, can I sleep at night? You know, can I make it work for my family? Because it is risky. So this chapter is just going to introduce you to some of that. You know, some of the things that you would need to know. And you know, is anybody thinking they want to be an entrepreneur? Okay. So usually there's somebody in the room that's kind of like, you know, maybe if I had the right idea and whatever, and you know, and so this will just like the rest of this book, it'll introduce you about that much into what you need to know, you know, and then if you end up getting an idea that you think you want to pursue, then we can talk a little more in detail about that, not just now, but like you guys will have my contact stuff, because I love talking about that stuff. I talk to a lot of people still today that are balanced ideas, and I just had a beer on Friday with a guy who had a trucking idea, and he came in and told me about it, and I'm like, yeah, it's kind of already out there. He's like, God. He was all pumped up, you know what I mean? And so, entrepreneurship, a pretty straightforward definition there, but you know, sometimes you're the sole owner, sometimes you have an investor or like a silent partner, it can be all the above. Sometimes you bring in mutual partners, meaning you're both bringing your money to the table. So it can be about any different way. Do you guys, when you or anybody think of a leader out there that when you hear entrepreneurship, you think, man, that guy's an entrepreneur?
My grandfather.
Okay. Anybody Elon Musk, right? I mean, he's got like, he'll pop in his mind. I mean, he's done Tesla. He did like PayPal, you know, with a partner. He wasn't the only guy in PayPal.
Flamethrower.
Yeah. And then he's doing rocket, like space travel now. It's like, holy cow. Some people think of Bezos of Amazon. He's obviously incredibly rich and has been very, very successful. And you know, his niche is very unique. You know, the internet was like, we all right now think, well, duh, Amazon makes a ton of sense. But when he was working on it, the internet was really clunky. You know, and you guys are young, so you don't even remember it then. But you know, it was like dial up, and you couldn't get connectivity, no graphics, it's all just text based. And he's sitting here already thinking about, well, that's what it is now, but guess what it's going to be in 10 years or 20 years or etc. So do you guys know what first item he sold over the internet? When he built Amazon for the first time, do you know what item he focused on?
A book.
On books. Exactly right. So why do you think he focused exclusively on books when he first started Amazon?
No, it was back then more because it was text-based, then you can't really describe how well.
Yeah. So if I could only do text-based stuff, like none of us buy a book because the cover looks amazing. I mean, maybe once in a while catches your eye, at least gets you to pick it up. But most of the time you're buying the book because you do a little bit of research, you know what's inside the book. Whereas garments or, you know, about anything else of any sort of design, we need to look at it. You know, and the internet still struggles with that today. I mean, I was buying a hat, you know, for my son. My son just committed to Brown last night, so it's pretty cool. been a long time coming, so he's gonna go to Brown University, which is exciting. So we're looking for hats, and even hats nowadays online can be a little bit weird, and like, they're trying to just lay over the logo, is it really gonna look like that, you know, and, you know, that sort of thing. So he went with books. So what's the other thing that books, so at the time, you know, there's Barnes and Nobles and there's everybody. What's the other advantage that internet has over Barnes and Nobles?
You don't have to look at them.
Okay, so there's the convenience of having it shipped right to my house, and then what's the third thing? How many books can go into a Barnes and Nobles? Why?
Shelf space,
Yeah. How many books can be sold on the internet?
as many as you want.
Many as you want, right? We still have shelf space limitations, but our shelf space limitations are warehouse, the Subaru size. And we're paying warehouse rates instead of mall rates, right? And that's how I got started. You know, and I know as an entrepreneur, I run through this battle where I start to think, man, all the good ideas are taken. You know, all the good ideas, you know, aren't out there. Well, here's a guy that just sat and thought and went bang, 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 and you know, he's one of the richest guys in the world right now. You know, so there's ideas out there. I always kick myself over not coming up with the red box idea. How simple is that? It's a vending machine. Vending machine's been around forever. None of us did though. None of us went, if I could get a DVD for $1, pretty good. You know, so pretty cool. So some of this stuff can be accurate. You know, there is entrepreneurship is a lifestyle, and you know, so is, you know, getting married, having 2 kids in a house. It's a different lifestyle, right? So sometimes it can be hard to be 5 years into a career, getting established, have your family, a house, you know, a car payment, and now you're gonna go to your wife and be like, hey babe, we're gonna gamble everything on the snow cone machine. And she's like, what? You know, my situation, you know, my ex-wife knew all along that I was an all-in guy. We were risking everything we had every day. Now that being said, I think partly led to our divorce when I was no longer able to provide. I think she's like, I'm getting off this wagon. You know, this is going down, which it was, and I did, you know. So, but yeah, so, you know, starting a little bit early, you know, it's whenever you're ready. You know, you have to have the right mindset again. A lot of people get into entrepreneurship because they want to be their own boss. So this independence idea. And I try to, when I consult future entrepreneurs, I try to take that one off the table a little bit more, at least make it more of a back burner idea, because as soon as you go into business, you have a boss. Who's your boss when you go into business? You own everything. You don't owe anything. Do you still have a boss?
You got the government, you got the regulation.
You got the government. But who are you really catering to?
Customers.
The customer. So as soon as you go into business, you still have a boss. You with me? Now, as soon as I take an investor into my business, I have another boss now. As soon as my business starts making any kind of money, the government says to have a third boss. So you're going to have that feeling of a boss. Will you have more independence? Absolutely. You know, you can set your schedule. You can decide not. You can be Sam Sutphin, decide not to go into that business because it's not profitable enough, or I don't want to go down that path because I don't want to work every weekend. Yes, you can have some independence, but you will still have a boss. So a lot of people go into it for profits. That's why I was into it. You know, I saw my dad work his tail off for 30 plus years, saving every nickel he could. And, you know, he provided to us kids well, and, you know, he bumped his standard of living a little bit up. And I was like, man, if I really want to make a leap in my standard of living, I got to gamble some. You know, the old adage that nothing ventured, nothing gained. And I was like, so I gotta risk some stuff here for the chance to, you know, make something happen. And then the challenge is that you have to enjoy that challenge part because it's a lot of work. you know, and so there's gonna be days when you're grinding, you know, and you're by yourself all day, working, whether you're typing working or working with your hands, and you're thinking, what in the hell am I doing? You know, and if you don't have that natural, I know exactly what I'm doing. I gotta grind this out for this year or this 2 years or whatever, and then I'm gonna hire somebody who's gonna do this, and I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm not gonna move over and do that, you know. So what do you think about some of these risks? Which one is exciting? Which one is scary? You know, for you guys, you know, if you were to think about opening your own business.
I guess more of the opportunity aspect of things.
Okay, so seeing new doors open and new opportunities present themselves.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. Which one's the scariest?
In business.
Okay. So I had a guy that I had a real estate business, and it was me and 2 brother-in-laws. And the guy that we put in charge of that real estate business, he did a good job. He'd never been an entrepreneur before. And I think one of the things he struggled to get up to speed with was he had almost too much independence. So then sometimes you struggle with, well, what am I supposed to be doing? And I struggle with this today even. You know, when I get, you know, because I'm only doing 3 or 4 things, some nonprofits and whatever, I'll sit down some days and, you know, I'm supposed to be grading papers, and I'll rip off 8 days working on, or 8 hours working on some nonprofit that don't pay me any bills. You know, and I'm like, ooh, was that supposed to, what? So who do you ask? Was that what I was supposed to work on today? Who do you ask? Your buddy who works full time somewhere? He has no idea. You know what I mean? No one has any idea. And so you gotta reconcile that in your head, and that can be, you know, can be challenging as part of being an entrepreneur. Michael Dell, another good entrepreneur. So what do you think, if you're gonna be an entrepreneur, what are some of the skill sets you think you need?
Negotiation.
Okay, so you wanna be able to negotiate with whom? Like what comes to mind when you think negotiation?
Just any potential buyers.
Okay, so with customers, you wanna negotiate with them potentially, who else?
I guess more of the supplier aspect of what product you want.
Okay, so anybody supplying me any sort of support, services, raw materials, anything like that? Who else?
Anyone that's gonna try and help you.
Yeah, who might there's 2 people I want you to think about right now that are gonna be 2 entities that you're gonna be talking to. We've talked about suppliers and customers, but employees, right? Isn't that a huge negotiation? Not like negotiation like I'm gonna try to beat them up, but negotiation like, hey, I know we don't even have an office, and you don't have a card, and I might miss one of your payrolls, but come to work for me. And they're like, what? So I gotta be able to convince them that this is a great opportunity, okay? And then who's the next one? If I got employees, I got customers, I got suppliers now, who's the next entity that I might need to be negotiating well with? The banks. Okay, investors, banks, whoever, I gotta get some money. So people skills become real important. What else becomes important? We've touched on some of these.
Organization.
Okay, you gotta be organized. You gotta be confident in what you need to be doing next. You gotta be self-motivated.
Influence.
Okay, you wanna be able to kind of have some amount of salesmanship, whether it be to my employees, to my customers, okay?
So another good one would be like optimistic, because everything's always changing. So
Yeah,
you
that's a great
mind
point.
open.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I cycle through that myself, you know, when I'll get down a low point and I'm thinking the sky's falling, you know, and then yet a week later I'm thinking we're on top of the moon. I'm like, look, it's neither, right? It's really somewhere in the middle, but you can get so emotional about it. I love this one here, self-nurturing. What do you mean by self-nurturing?
Maybe like if things aren't going well, maybe you have the ability to just tell yourself it's gonna be alright.
Yeah. So if you're not an entrepreneur, okay, you're just working for a business, who is nurturing you in that business? Who are some people that might be doing that for you?
Employer.
Okay, so your boss, your immediate boss might be nurturing you. Who else?
Your
coworkers.
Your coworkers, right? Your peers, because you're working with them every day and they're like, dude, that sucked today, didn't it? Yeah, it did. Holy cow. but we got through it, you know. So peers, who else? Peers at work. How about your peers that don't work at the same business you work at, but work in a similar fashion, 8 to 5, nights, you know, whatever. Can they nurture you some? Yeah.
Customers can too.
Okay. So think of those people and now put yourself as an entrepreneur working in your barn trying to make a brand new gadget that you're going to try to sell. Who's nurturing you there?
Yourself.
There you go, right? And that stuff matters. Again, people who want to be an entrepreneur, they don't think of that. They think, man, I'm going to be my own boss. I'm going to set my own schedule. I'm going to make all this money. And they get put locked up in a closet for 8 hours trying to work on some project. And they're like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. They go to talk to their spouse, and their spouse is like, I don't want to hear that because I know all of our life savings are on the line. So I need to hear it's always good. So she don't want to hear any of that, right? So it becomes real challenging. Action oriented, I use the term a bias for action. Okay, I look for this when I'm hiring anybody as well. So if you go into an interview environment and you're looking to get a job, you want to demonstrate to them that you have a bias for action. Okay, what does that mean? One of the ways I'll test people is I'll be interviewing you and I'll accidentally knock a pen off the table. And we'll see who reaches out to get the pen. Do I reach down to get my own pen, or do you quickly reach down to get a pen? Okay, if you're reaching down to get the pen, that's a bias for action. You see that? A person has a bias for action. When they see something needs to be done, they don't look around and go, well, that's not really my job. I'm gonna wait for Bobby to get over here and do that. A person with a bias for action, they just go do it. So one of the reasons the gal I date, Amy, one of the things that I admire about her a lot, she's very independent and she has a bias for action. So you walk into a restaurant and you get seated at some table and you really don't want to be at that table, you know, I'll be like, nah, we'll get through it. She's like, no, we're moving. She'll stand up, go see the hostess and be like, hey, can we get a different table? They're always, of course, like, well, sure, move you to a different table. That's a bias for action, right? So looking for that. Energetic, you know, I think you can get through both ways with that. I think you can be a pretty passive person as long as you can have a great work ethic. So I don't think I guess when I see energetic, I think you're gonna be a rah-rah person, and I don't think you gotta be a rah-rah person. I think you need to have energy and drive, but I don't need to be a cheerleader that much. I need to be positive and develop, but now obviously we touched on already, tolerant of uncertainty. That becomes really, really critical. And I think to a certain extent, you're kind of born and raised that way or you aren't. And like in my case, my dad was extremely risk averse, and it may sound weird, but I think it almost pushed me the other way. Even though he and I were really close and I was very like him in a lot of ways, seeing that role modeled out made me kind of think, well, I wonder what that looks like. So how do we actually go about doing it? What's the first thing? When light bulbs go off in your head, what's usually causing those light bulbs to go off in your head that are saying, hey, this is a new business I should be looking at?
Something you're going through.
Okay, so you may have witnessed it with your own eyes and been like, what?
I don't know how to fix this.
Okay, so there's a gap. Okay, so there's an opportunity. There's a need that's not being met in some fashion.
Something that could help benefit people.
Yeah, a customer's gonna value it. I mean, think of Uber. Okay, think of how long we had the ability, from a phone standpoint, that we had enough people with phones and internet connection that we could have had a on-demand transportation service like Uber, and yet we didn't for a long time. And some guy standing around there waiting for a taxi and going, there went a car, there went a car. Why am I waiting on a taxi? Why can't I get in that car? You know, I don't know how it came up with this idea, but that's probably how it was, right? He's standing there going, I need a damn ride. And I just saw 17 cars go by and none of them picked me up.
Or he could have been drunk at a bar
Yeah.
Find somebody to take them home.
Yeah, could have been that too, right? Or both. So there was a need, okay? And then, so that's the first thing you gotta do. And then from there, you gotta start working down, doing a little bit of talking to people, do some research, figuring out, like my buddy, is it already out there? Like, I had a t-shirt idea, a t-shirt business idea, and I thought it was really, really cool. I still don't think my exact idea was out there at the time, but I went to somebody and they're like, dude, I think it's out there. And they started Googling around, showing me some spots. I'm like, it's not exactly my idea. He's like, yeah, but by the time you get there, they will have morphed into your idea. And they have what you call a first mover advantage, right? Move forward, don't wait. So, obviously, if you think you're gonna be an entrepreneur, you need to set yourself up with the resources to be able to pursue something when that light bulb does go off. Okay, and so what are some ways before you start your business that you could have yourself set up to be ready to start a business? What are some things you think you could kind of have in your back pocket that would kind of at least allow you to maybe pursue something easier than not?
Finances.
Okay, so finances, what are some ways that you mean by that? Like, what are some ways, drill into that one more layer?
Maybe get a hold of like banks and stuff and throw out your idea before you even make it to see if they.
I'm even saying before we even have an idea, okay? That definitely once you get your idea, you're gonna wanna do that. But I'm talking, you're just sitting around the house and your feet are up and you're having a beer and you're watching football and you're thinking, you know what? This whole entrepreneur thing, it won't go away. It's really kind of stuck in me. I'm thinking about it. I don't know what I want to do yet, but it's out there. What could you do? What do you need? What do you need to be able to go from my feet are up on the couch to now I'm pursuing a business idea?
Motivation.
Okay. What's part of motivation? You're motivated because you're noodling on it. Gotta have time. I can be motivated as hell, but if I already got 2 jobs and 3 kids, right? Kind of like school in that way. If I want to go back to school, you gotta have some time. Okay. You need some amount of independence. So flexibility, that's what I meant by independence. Yes, that flexibility. So, factory life can be great because you're like, maybe I can put in for nights if this gig opens up and I want to do something on days or vice versa. Or I'm a nurse and I can move anywhere in the country. So an opportunity shows up, but it's in Colorado, I can go and I can get my day job back in Colorado. I don't have a house payment, a car payment, and college payments, and right? So now, even though maybe I don't have a lot of dough in my pocket, if I really got passionate about doing something entrepreneurial, I could live pretty cheaply because I don't have all these bills, okay? And I say that because a lot of people think it's an all or not deal. So like my Amy is trying to become more entrepreneurial. She wanted to quit her job, etc. And I'm like, no. I said, because you think you want to do that, but you don't understand the challenges of hustling every day to make your buck. And just for her alone, I'm like, well, what are you gonna do for medical insurance? I don't know yet. Okay. And I knew that would wear on her. So what did we do? We moved her, she did change jobs, but into a different job where she's now on the school calendar. So she has the summers off, she has the winter break off, she's done by 3:30, not till 5. And oh, by the way, she's only working 32 hours instead of 40, okay, or 45 in her old job. And at 32 hours, she still has medical insurance. So you see how that sets her up? She still has a job, but yet she has some time and some resources now to go, hey, I might be into something here. Okay. The other thing that you can do inside that with regards to setting yourself up is to start thinking about mentors, people who you trust, who could be a leader to you, who could share some ideas for you. A lot of times those people end up being kind of what they're calling here your entrepreneurial team. Eventually they might be the ones that you end up sparking an idea with and either officially partnering with, or at least they're part of maybe your board and they're a consultant for you just to help you get started. And that's what I try to be to some people who reach out to me. I never even heard this term, to be honest. Micropreneurs, just trying to start business out of your house. There's nothing wrong with that. It's still an entrepreneur. In fact, it's just less risky, right? Because I don't have a lot of overhead and costs and things like that. It's growing a lot. You know, a lot of people don't think franchise owners are entrepreneurs. They're absolutely entrepreneurs. They just chose a little bit of a safer route to get started. They're still business guys. They have a lot of risk they have to work really hard. So a lot of times I tell people who are thinking about franchising, would you want to be in the subway every day? Well, no, but you don't want that franchise. Because the real way you make a bunch of money in your franchise is to be an employee of yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like, that's kinda like on my other side of the family, my grandpa, my dad's dad and my uncle, they own franchise in BG, which is like oil distributing.
Okay.
So they distribute like all the fluids and stuff that goes into a vehicle to the dealerships.
Yeah.
It's like you go to a dealership and look on the car and it'll say like BG certified or whatever, it'll have a BG sticker on it.
Uh-huh. And so they got like a little territory or something. Is that how their franchise
Yeah.
works? They handle a certain area.
So we have, my grandpa and my uncle own the location here in Indianapolis, and then one of them owns the location in Michigan, and then the other owns the one in Wisconsin.
Okay. So and do they distribute just in that Indianapolis area, or is it the whole state?
The whole state.
Okay.
So a BG salesperson will be driving a BG van and they'll have their territory and they'll go to the dealerships in those territories. And
Yeah, that's cool.
sell their products.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then in that environment, I imagine your uncle and your grandpa were pretty hands-on. You know, they weren't on the beach just trusting that this all's gonna take care of itself, which you wouldn't be with as a regular entrepreneur either. But because you know, the franchisor, the people who gave you the idea, are taking a cut of your margin, that margin is kind of why you now also need to work in the business, if that makes any sense. Because now I don't have, so let's say if as a business owner, I was hoping to net about 20% as just the owner. When I get my business established, that 20% might let me almost be retired out of the business. But if that's only 10%, now all of a sudden I need to get a wage, I gotta get an earnings from the business too to meet my own personal standard of living. And so now I gotta be working in it. And so typically if you get into a franchising situation, you wanna envision yourself actually being in there working, doing whatever the customer needs done. Okay. Obviously computers are opening up all kinds of new businesses. Think of like LifeLock. How long ago? I mean, there wasn't a LifeLock, even 7 years ago, something like that. This whole identity theft, problem. Whole industry takes off. How about like you've been seeing the ads for Simply Safe, that new security firm? ADT's been around forever, but what's ADT's model? They want to come in and install like sensors on all your windows and like drill through your walls and run wiring and hook you up to like some communication device back at their home quarters and all this. Simply Safe's like, let me ship you some stuff, have it hook it all to your Wi-Fi and call it good. Well, couldn't exist if that technology wasn't around, the cameras, all that.
The other big thing now is the doorbell cameras.
Yeah, Simply Safe, same way, right? Where I'm gonna put a little camera on my door. Oh, you're worried about that back entrance? Here, put a camera over there. And the camera, I don't have to drill through my wall and try to get a wire there and power it and all that. It's like, no, we'll put a battery in there that lasts like 8 months. You'll take that battery out. We already gave you an extra one to recharge them. You never have to buy battery. It's like, so those sort of opportunities are out there. None of them are easy. I mean, that's a home-based business. It's still tough. You get really isolated in a home-based business too. That can be a real challenge. Probably the minimal startup capital needed is probably the biggest thing. those businesses are designed for you not to have a warehouse or an office front or whatever, and those are a lot of expenses. And those expenses are often the ones that sink a startup business. So like my little nonprofit, we just got evicted out of our space because I can't pay retail rates, but yet really need to be at kind of a retail location. And yet if you just took my rent piece and put it right, like it was for a little while, they just wanted more money or whatever, so a little while they were running fine. If that rent piece was just okay, where it needed to be, and I could pay a little bit of rent, but I couldn't pay the full rate, my business could keep going. Like that, like rent alone is big enough for you to go working, not working, okay? That's why when you see, you guys probably know, like on your little path home or whatever, little restaurants that have like come, left, like 4 of them in the same building.
Well, look at Gander Mountain here in Lafayette. They were supposed to reopen that building, but I was told that it cost like $40,000 a month just to have the rent and the
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah, you guys see the restaurants that happen that too, though. Like it was like a Burger Chef, and then it's like a McDonald's, and then a breakfast place, and then it's like a Mexican place, and then it's like
back close to my hometown in Plainfield, there was it was a Denny's, and then it was like a Stacks Pancake House.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
A big boy.
Yeah, exactly. It just keeps going, right? And that's a lot of it is why is these guys jump. And there's some in Indianapolis where they'll come in and they'll spend hundreds of $1,000s redoing it, making it nice because they're gonna try to make it like a nightclub sort of vibe. And they're there for like 2 years and they're gone. And you're like, holy cow. Like they lost money on the operation, I get that, but they lost money on refurbing that building and getting it ready to go, because your landlord won't pay for that. I mean, that's all there. That's all the business owner. So obviously, home-based business, you don't have to do that. There are tax benefits to having a home-based business. So like I rent my motor home, which is really a home-based business because I just talking to people and booking them, and I'm using kind of an Airbnb sort of app. But that allows me to have like my home Wi-Fi to be written off, my cell phone to be written off. So you get some benefits that are legal tax breaks because you own a business out of your home. We talked about the isolation, the limited support. Work habits can be tough. I don't struggle with this too much, but I was an entrepreneur going to a location for a lot of years before I really am now an entrepreneur working out of my house. But some people can struggle with that, I really should be working on this, but damn, the game's on. Or I should be doing this, but man, I gotta get my jammies and, I'm gonna stay right here, So, success is based on 100% of your efforts. That is true. So then you start to wonder, do I really have a business or do I have a job? Because if the only way that business generates money is because of my efforts, isn't that a job now? Right? Because the only way you have a business is when the business is earning without me being present, or it's earning exponentially more even though I'm still present. Now you have a business. Okay, so I really emphasize that to people too. Just a little list. And then online businesses, obviously growing, we all know that. Anybody doing selling trading cards or anything like that? A lot of people are doing that online just as an extra little deal, whether it be baseball cards or, whatever. Affiliate marketing. So you guys probably have been approached with these. I call them pyramid marketing or network marketing. You guys see how those work? Anybody ever approached you with those? No?
Like networking?
No, it's not networking. You do have to network to be successful, but it's a very unique structure of a business that's called pyramid marketing. They used to be called pyramid marketing schemes, and they've gotten away from that, and affiliate marketing is, so in a pyramid marketing system, Amway is a huge one. You ever heard of Amway? They even started sponsoring like NASCARs and stuff. What's another one you ever see So Pot of Jewelry is a big one. Pampered Chef. I think Avon is even this way, like Avon the cosmetics. Avon might be
Advocare.
slightly different. What's that?
Advocate.
Probably, yes, I think you're right. So what happens is, it's called network marketing, because what they do is, I'm a rep, and my Amy does like Young Essentials oils. You hear about the oils? I don't know, they're kind of getting popular right now. So she's a rep for Young Essential Oils. Young Living, yeah, I think so. Okay, yeah. So this is exactly what you're in then. So what happens is, you're selling those oils, and you make a little commission off the sale of those oils. But you're also looking for someone to join the business under your tree. Okay, that's what this affiliate marketing is talking about. And it's kind of popular because the main reason people like it is it's very low cost to get started. So,
But as you go into it more, you have to put more time into it.
yeah,
Definitely a lot more time into it.
and that's exactly right. So you get out of it what you put into it.
My best friend's wife is in it, and she tried getting me into it as like one of her top 5 like salespeople.
Yeah.
Under her, and I don't have the time for it. I mean, I'll introduce it to people, but I don't have
Yeah.
enough time to actually
Yeah,
go out.
and it has to be like a passion of yours. It has to it's like for my Amy loves it, so she really actually believes in all the oils and all that. So she actually doesn't find it too objectionable to talk to somebody about it, or here, just take that and try it. If you like it, I'll get you another one. But then you're still right. She still could be selling it on her Facebook page more and doing more to promote it, and etc. So we're gonna take a quick break here, because I feel like the content's in a decent spot, and I want to make sure this thing doesn't freak out on me. So you guys are welcome to hit the bathroom, check your phones, whatever.